All right. When I think of comfort food, I think tater tot casserole. And this is the tater tot casserole that I make. This is just Midwest warm comfort food personified. And God, I love this casserole, and I hope that you like it too. I started making it when I saw this YouTube video from In the Kitchen with Dinah, her tater tot casserole, and then I kind of embellished it a little bit on my own. So this is how I make it. First, I put a large skillet on the stove on high heat. We're going to do a little bit of sauteing of some vegetables and some beef. We're going to add a little olive oil, and I use frozen onions and frozen mushrooms. It just makes it easier. I always have them on hand in my freezer. I don't have to worry about mushrooms going bad if I forget about them for a long time. Frozen, for my money, is still just as good. I wouldn't use real old frozen mushrooms if they're real freezer burned, and sometimes I accidentally leave those in the freezer a little bit too long. But so I'm just gonna kind of get these spread out and cooking a little bit. And once I get this sauteed off a little bit, get everything softened and together, add a little bit of salt. I like to keep things pretty low sodium, but I only add just a little bit of salt just to give it a little bit of flavor. I also use low sodium soup in this recipe. You can flavor it to taste however you wish. So I move everything in the pan over to one side and I add my beef. I use organic 8515 beef from Sam's Club. It's nice and cheap. It's good quality stuff. And I use 2 pounds of ground beef here. I have made this with ground turkey. It can get a little watery. So if you're going to do that, you want to make sure and you brown that off, drain it, try and get it as dry as possible. Otherwise, in the end casserole, it'll get kind of watery on the bottom. But I'm just using ground beef here. I'm smashing it up with my ground beef smasher. Get this all spread out and browned. Tap the larger pieces apart with my spatula as I get this all browned up together with the onions and the mushrooms. It's going to have a little bit of grease at the bottom since I'm using 8515. So I use one of the 2 cans of cream of mushroom soup that I'm using. I pour one out into a bowl, and then I use that can to collect my grease from the hamburger. Just don't like putting that stuff down my drain, getting it all mucked up. So let that sit and it firms up, and then I can throw it away. Get this back on the heat. Make sure it's nice and browned up. I'm going to add a little bit of Worcestershire sauce. It just gives it a little kick of extra meaty, umami, savory flavor to it. And then I'm going to, while I'm thinking of it here, I'm going to turn my oven on to preheat. I set my convection oven on 375. I find I have to set my convection oven 25 degrees hotter than the regular temperature recipe. You can set a regular oven at 350. Now I'm going to add my 2 cans of cream of mushroom soup. Now this is Campbell's Healthy Request. You can use whatever brand and variety that you like, but the cream of mushroom is pretty traditional here. I use Healthy Request to reduce the sodium and the fat. They also make a totally unsalted version if you're really low sodium. It's a little thinner. So I'm going to stir this together with the meat and the veggies to make kind of like a thick gravy consistency. Add a little bit of cracked black pepper is a definite necessity here. And just stir this. And I cook this around 5 minutes just to kind of thicken it up a little bit, get it all cohesive. Now I put it in my 9x13 heavyweight glass baking dish, and then I'll spread it all around the bottom, make a nice even layer. And that's going to be the base of this tater tot casserole. Man, this is just a wonderful casserole for cold days, winter days, and even like during the summer. You can make this anytime you want, just kind of like that warm Midwest hug of casserole. This is a definite winner in my book. Now I'm going to top this meat mixture with cheddar cheese. I use triple cheddar from Walmart. Just gives it a nice flavor with 3 different kinds of cheeses, of cheddar cheeses. You can use pretty much any cheese you want, but cheddar, I feel, goes really well with all the flavors in this casserole. Spread it out evenly. And then I use Ore-Ida golden tater tots. Now, you can use any tater tots you want, but I would definitely recommend, and I'm not getting sponsored by them, but I would recommend Ore-Ida. They just tend to be crispier. I think they're kind of par-baked or par-fried before they're frozen, so they come out crispier than most any other tater tots that I've tried. Again, I'm not sponsored by Ore-Ida. If Ore-Ida wants to sponsor me, I'm all for it. You know, back up that tater tot truck to my front door. I'm not going to turn it away. But we just shingle it across the top of the meat and cheese mixture. You can arrange these however you want. I just kind of shingle them. You could do soldier course and stand them up on end if you want. Whatever you want to do. I just kind of lay them out like this. And now these two tater tots, whenever I've made this, people ask, why do you put two single tater tots in the center of your baking dish? We'll find out in a minute. But it's very, very important. Now, this is just me gilding the lily, totally optional, but I just kind of shake on a very light dusting of grated Parmesan cheese. It just kind of adds a nice little extra nutty flavor to the whole dish. Just very lightly dusting it, break up that clump, and we're ready for the oven. Again, 375 convection oven is what I'm setting mine at, 350 for a regular oven. Ovens vary so wildly, so I'd just say 350 is a pretty good baseline for everybody. And I set this for 40 minutes. Now, if you want your tater tots more crisp, or if you're using a really thin cream of mushroom soup that needs to thicken up a little bit, you can add a little bit of time to it. But 40 minutes is what I set mine at. And now this is coming out of the oven and shortly into my belly. God, that's beautiful. Crisp tater tots on the top, nice savory, meaty gravy on the bottom, cheese. It's all nice and bubbly. I'm going to take this out and bring it up to my countertop. God, look at that. That's just, if you could define Midwestern food, this is what you would, this is the Midwest dictionary entry of food. Tater tot casserole. God, this is beautiful, isn't it? Now, those two tater tots at the top, what are those for? Those are for the cook to tide them over for the 15 minutes we're going to let this sit on the countertop and let this kind of come together and become one cohesive, scoopable dish. It's not really sliceable, but it'll be scoopable. It'll be nice and creamy, but it's not so much a slice as it is, it's not going to fall off your spatula. It just comes together so nicely. The cheese kind of helps hold the meat gravy together into a nice slice. And now we add our optional Midwest traditional ketchup drizzle to the top. Totally optional. You can do that if you want. And I do just a little bit of extra, just a little drizzle, a little dripping of A1 sauce to the top of mine. Just gives it a little extra something, totally optional. But so, the meat is tender, so nice and flavorful. You get the crisp tater tots at the top. The ketchup is really an essential thing. I don't know why I say that's kind of an optional thing. It's really for this dish. Ketchup is something that you really want to have. But God, this is a winner. I love this. I could make this like every week. And there you have it. Tater tot casserole. If you want the recipe, check the description of this video. Make it yourself. Let me know what you think of it if you've tried this. Leave me a comment. I would love for you to try this and tell me what you think of it.